Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Stallings. You know me here on YouTube as MarauderEX, and as always, I'm your host for Operation Recap, where I take some stories from Rainfall.com, and I share them here on YouTube because cross-promotion, getting your media out there farther out. I don't know, I keep explaining this every time. It's been like 2 years, man. We know what's going on. Alright, so, as always, 3 stories. Not really, major stories, but, little tidbits of information. First off, Mega Man Legends will arrive on PSN at the end of September, specifically September 29th, and it will retail for $9.99. This is fantastic because the Mega Man Legends games are being slowly brought to PSN. Mega Man Legends, Mega Man Legends 2, and The Adventures in Trombone should all be available once this game comes out. All 3 of the Legends titles should be available, which is great because Mega Man Legends 1 got a lot of, great reviews when it came out back in the day, and Mega Man Legends 2 just kind of seemed to fall by the wayside. People didn't pay as much attention to it, and it wasn't released in the number the first one was, and then Trombone I never even heard about until years later, and so obviously it was more rare than Mega Man Legends 2. So the fact that, I was able to play the first game, and then I didn't get a chance to play the second game, and didn't even know the third game existed until many years later. I'm really glad that all 3 of these games are finally available on PSN, so go pick those up, because it does encourage, Sony, and in this case Capcom, other developers, to bring more titles to digital format that, otherwise would get forgotten to time. So, I'm a fan of that. Go, if you're a Mega Man fan, go pick it up. So, the second story is Final Fantasy V is now available on PC, or Final Fantasy V, if you want to be that person about it. So it's now out on PC. It's got some updated graphics, a little bit of updates here and there. It's the same graphic updates that the Android and iOS versions got, so not anything too new, but still updated from the original. It's going to retail you for $15.99. Little pricey to me, but Square Enix, that's something they do. They price their titles a little higher than most. So yeah, it's available on Steam, so it will have like Steam achievements and things as such. So if that is something of a concern to you, those are available. So, if you've never gotten a chance to play Final Fantasy V, now could be your chance for the low price of $15.99. So, and the last story, and probably biggest story of the week, and I'm going to try to keep my personal thoughts out of it and just stick to what facts there are. Retro VGS was announced. It's an Indiegogo project done by gentlemen who got the retooled shells from the Atari Jaguar and have decided to make a retro-based console. It's going to be cartridge only. It's going to be offline, no update capabilities. So the theory to it is that you will get better games that do not have to be patched, so that developers will make better games that don't require patching. That's that sort of mentality, going back to the 16-bit days where you got complete games right off the bat. This project was met with very, very, very harsh criticisms right off the bat. A lot of people questioned the logic of not being able to update because, smaller developers may not have the ability to do as much QA as larger companies. Nintendo was able to do ridiculous amounts of QA for the games, and some of their games still shipped with, minor bugs that, could be patched or could be fixed later on down the line using today's technology. So there's a lot to this console that made people wonder what the point was, to be completely honest. So I don't know. It's an interesting concept. I do like the idea of a cartridge-based console. Cartridges are a little, more sturdy than discs, and you still have that tangible element, so that you do own your own media rather than having a digital license. So there are some pros and cons to it. As of now, the Indiegogo project is still only sitting at about 3% of their almost $2 million goal. So if the project is not funded, it's not funded. The money is given back to the people who have contributed to it. They are not taking that money and then trying to work on the number of people who did develop. So, I gotta say, what do you think about the Retro VGS? Like, the more I've seen it, like, completely ignoring the mudslinging campaign from the people who were involved in the project to people who are currently involved in the project, and statements back and forth that seem less than, intelligent for a PR standpoint. Would you like a console that was just completely, completely retro? Do any of the console games from the past using hardware to, almost perfectly emulate the original hardware? Or would you want something that is a cartridge-based console that focuses on current indie titles? Like, would you like Shovel Knight on cartridge? Is that's something that you'd be interested in? Or would you want to spend a ridiculous amount of money to try to get both? Or would you rather have one or the other at a more reasonable consumer price? Say maybe like $100 for one or the other. What would you like? Because I really think that type of feedback might affect what happens with the next Indiegogo project, should this one not succeed. So yes, those are your stories for this week: Mega Man Legends, Final Fantasy V, and Retro VGS. So stay tuned to Rainfall for more news, reviews, previews, etc., because we've got a bunch of stuff going on the site. A lot of polls, a lot of opinion pieces, a lot of stuff that makes you think. So go check all that stuff out, and stay tuned here to YouTube for more video content. I will see you guys later.